Have you ever wondered how people found their passions? Here's my story about how one dreaded night of dancing turned my whole world upside down and led me to my passion. I'm Cecilia. I'm a career coach with a background in human resources, and I am now passionate with helping you find work that feels better, is better aligned, and then help you grow beyond your wildest dreams. In my 20s, I had such a thirst for adventure. I was a snowboarder, a rock climber. I traveled by myself, questionable, but I had just a complete thirst. That led me to moving to a neighborhood that was full of people like me, other professionals who love the outdoors, love the adventure, and love traveling. And I made some great friends. Now, as you can imagine, we had a lot of adventures together, but where we live, it can get kind of dreary in the winter. And so when there was no snow in the mountains and little else to do, we found ourselves repeatedly in someone's living room having drinks. Now, don't get me wrong, that was fun and all, but our adventurous souls eventually found that to be a little boring. So we made a challenge. I can't remember whose idea this was, but we decided to try to have interesting evenings instead of fun evenings. That would mean we would sign up for evenings that would be completely not fun, but there'd be something interesting about them, something new, something we could have stories about. In that spirit, one night a friend of ours decided that we should all go and try a salsa dancing night. Now, in my mind, salsa dancing at the time felt like something that was done in your basement suite with some really old people dressed in funny costumes with a lot of cowbell. Some of that was true. I tried to get out of going that evening, but another friend called me up and said, hey, you should be kind of supportive for your friends who are making these plans. So there I was on the dance floor taking first salsa lesson. Now the thing is, when I looked around, I was surprised to find that actually most people were my age and a lot of them were dressed in just jeans and a t-shirt. I love that. And then the actual night started and the music started and people started asking me to dance. And someone I completely forgot about emerged in me. You see, when I was a little girl, I actually loved dancing so much. I thought I was going to be a backup dancer for TLC. Still available if you want me. But she came out and she was having so much fun. It took over my entire body. I hadn't had that much fun in a long time. Even though I was snowboarding and rock climbing, those were great, but this brought a fire out in me I had not experienced in a very long time. Sure enough, within what I thought was like 3 songs, a friend of mine came and tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, we're getting ready to go. Do you want to stay longer? I was like, wow, it's been 3 hours? What? Well, that night really ignited something in me. I discovered a love of movement and dancing that I added to my repertoire of hobbies, which the list was getting kind of long. And I got completely obsessed. I danced not 3 nights a week, not 4 nights a week, sometimes 5 nights a week. It got a little crazy. In that, I started to get to know instructors and get to know people that demonstrated the moves in their classes. And that led me to eventually also teaching some classes on my own. And that is where my biggest discovery happened. You see, when I was standing in front of a room of people, which would normally be quite terrifying for me, but I was passionate and excited to be teaching something I loved, something completely switched in me. I could communicate clearer. I could look at a student and see how they needed to change, and I could give them some instructions that were quite helpful. And I absolutely loved it. If you would have told me that before this experience, I would have said absolutely not. In fact, I had to do some training sessions for work in my human resources profession before, and it was one of the most terrifying things I'd ever done. Through that discovery, after a few years, I decided to leave HR and I became a facilitator to help people find work that were aligned for them. I was able to stand in front of people and deliver content that I knew really well and was quite passionate about. And I kept on discovering my love for facilitation that I thought was so interesting. And I keep falling more and more in love with public speaking and facilitation. I've joined my local Toastmasters. On a side note, that path also led me to my other big passion, which is coaching, something that I discovered. I'll make another video about. The point of the story is that I couldn't have known that I was even decent at public speaking until I was put in a spot, in a place where I physically experienced that joy. I had to experience it for this dormant skill to show up. I really surprised myself. I get really curious about more dormant skills that I might have, and I still challenge myself to go out there and get myself into new situations to see what else I can discover. Meanwhile, I am also diving deeper into my coaching skills and speaking skills because it's something I'm just so passionate about. So I challenge you to put yourself out there, do something different than you're used to, put yourself into other environments that could surprise you. What's the worst that can happen? If you want to see more videos like this, click and subscribe and tell me below if there's a skill that you found dormant in yourself that completely surprised you.